Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Podcast. It's early morning Wednesday here as we've got 10 games in the NBA, coming off a little bit of a weird Tuesday with just 3 games in there. Didn't even have props and stuff up by the time I was ready to record for you guys yesterday. So I got 4 picks in that didn't include that Denver and Philly game, unfortunately, which I really wish I could have bet on with you guys because I did have Embiid with a couple of things, as everybody did, because the motivation was there. So we'll look at exactly how we did on Tuesday and then get right into the 3 best bets that I have for Wednesday with some nice units on them. But first, we went Booker under and Nurk over, and neither of those hit in a weird game versus Phoenix. Those bets were kind of dead in the water as soon as that game became a blowout in the second quarter and third quarter. And then the Suns came all the way back, and they did it on the strength of 4 fourth quarter assists from Booker and 0 minutes from Yusuf Nurkic. So that whole game flow went exactly the wrong way for us to win any of those bets, but it did go right for us to get the under 244, and we did get OKC over 114.5 team total, even though they lost and the Clippers continue to roll and be one of the best teams in the NBA right now. But minus 0.1 units. I kept everything to half a unit on the bets, as you can see here, so that we didn't really go crazy because I didn't love the slate yesterday. I do like it today. We just don't have as much as I would like to give you, as I'm even recording at 7 a.m. here on the West Coast. Still waiting on a bunch of props to come out for most teams. We've only really got superstar props in most of these games that I'd really like to choose from. So I've got 3 really good bets that I'm confident in here. So we'll get into those. Just a quick look at the record on the season, 18.6 units in the Playa props. We went 2-0, by the way, yesterday on team totals. For those of you who are following along, like I said yesterday, I kind of relapsed, but it was like, look, this is the best I'm getting offered, is these team totals and the sides or the total of the game. So we went with 2 of those, went 2-0, picked up another unit or 0.9 units because we did play 0.5 units on both of those. So we strive along here, guys, and we're looking at Utah team total. Right back to it, man. Like, the team totals have hit. All the sides and totals have been struggling, as you can see in the 15 and 22 record, but the team totals are hitting for us. We're doing really well with those. So we're going to go back to one with Utah and over 123.5 for them, minus 110 on DraftKings. They're playing the Dubs. They've been, by the way, I don't know if you guys are paying attention to the NBA, but Utah is the best team in the league in the last 10 games. They're 9-1. They've won 9 straight at home as well. And they've gone over in 7 straight because they are just scoring a ton of points, averaging nearly 128 points per game when they're at home. They've been good on the road. They're 6-5 right now on the road as well over the course of the last 15, 20 games. And they're good. They're just incredible at home. Like, look at the teams that they've beaten at home in this 9-game road winning streak at home: the Indiana Pacers, the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Raptors after the trade, Dallas, Miami, the Knicks, and then they beat Brooklyn and Detroit. The only team they've lost to since December 8th is probably the best team in the NBA right now in the Los Angeles Clippers. And that, like I said, that's the last loss they suffered at home. And that was more than a month ago, about 5-6 weeks ago now. So I'm going to continue to ride with them playing against this Golden State team. If you want to look at the matchup, it's definitely not in favor of the Dubs here. One of the things that I'm going to be looking for the Jazz is attacking the basket. 4th most free throw attempts at home. Golden State is allowing the 4th most on the road, as you can see there, and they give up free throws everywhere. It's been a problem for them since last season, as one of the teams that gives up the most free throw attempts, has one of the worst defensive free throw attempt rates. Also, not a great free throw attempt rate on the offensive side for them, so they're probably going to get dominated at the line. I do think Utah's ripe for a victory here. Minus 4.5. You get them under 5 as favorites at home. I'm taking them as well. I've been looking at Colin Sexton, and I'd love to be able to do something with his props, but the weird thing about Colin Sexton is he's averaging 20 points per game over the course of the last 10 games. He's gone over his prop consistently, but he's only playing 23 minutes. He's got a 26% usage rate because it's the second best on the team. And all season long, he's consistently been the second most used player on the team, in part because he was coming off the bench and getting that usage rate. But over the last 10, when he's playing with the starters, he's still at a 29% usage rate. It's just he's only playing 23 minutes. So I don't know what to do with that. I'd like to take an over with him because he's a guy who attacks the basket as much as anyone on his team. He's looking at 5 free throw attempts per game from the point guard position over the course of his last 10 games, right? So I really like his ability to get to the rim against this kind of weak defense for the Dubs. They do have Draymond back, and that's the only thing that tempers you about this. But at the same time, I don't think that they're there with him yet. I don't know how many minutes Draymond's going to get. Probably more than 23 like he got last game. They're going to continue to see that tick upwards, right, over the course of however long it takes him to get back to his full 30-minute workload or so, 32 minutes at times. So I don't feel comfortable with the guys that Draymond's going to be guarding necessarily, like Lowry, although Lowry's probably in for a big game. There's going to be points, and they're going to come from a bunch of places on the Jazz. I just didn't have a really solid player prop as my main point. So let's run into best bet 2 here, and we're going with an over for Steph Curry, 5.5 assists. And once again, if you've been paying attention to the show, we've been crushing Steph unders between points, rebounds, and assists, etc. But you'll remember I took under points for him recently against the Bulls, and I just continue to not feel comfortable taking under assists for him anymore because Chris Paul's not in. And so he is the de facto point guard. There is no other dude who's got the ball in his hands as much as Steph anymore because Chris Paul did. Chris Paul had his hands on the ball nearly as much as Steph did when he was playing before he got hurt, roughly 5 games ago, right? And in that time frame, Steph has 11 potential assists per game since CP3 went down. He's gone over in all 5 of those games. He's gone 6+ assists in 6 of the 7 games he's played this season without Chris Paul. And he has more assists per game when Draymond comes in. So this is all a little bit predicated on, I don't think they're making up for the fact that Chris Paul is out. The potential assists have skyrocketed for Steph, meaning he's finally back in that true point guard position a lot more. And they are trying to force the ball out of his hands, but it's still working for him to get those guys open on his team, right? As we've also seen Clay shoot a lot better, which definitely helps. And we've seen Jonathan Kuminga stay in the game for more time, which also super helps. I really wish I had Kuminga props. If we get these at like 14, 15.5, very happy to take Kuminga overs. I actually should probably put that on a graphic. That's the only thing I say. If I don't put it on a graphic, it doesn't count. But I'm going to be betting Jonathan Kuminga, and I'll tell you guys on social media and in the comments of this video as soon as I do that. All right. So make sure you are liked and subscribed to here and at Landier Bets on Twitter and Instagram, etc., so that you can make sure that you stay up to date with me on the Jonathan Kuminga stuff. But Steph assists, I love in this one. He's back to his old ways where it was pre CP3. And even with Draymond, like I said, he still had about 7 assists per game with Draymond in the lineup this season, a little bit more than that. So really love the Steph numbers for this one. Going to go over 5.5 assists. And then the last bet that I have here for you guys is Dame Lillard, who I forgot to put on the graphic. Over 23.5 points in a same game parlay, by the way, for Dame. Over 23.5 points, under 8.5 assists. And you combine those on DraftKings, it gets you plus 118. And I'm going for a full unit there. The 8.5 assists is an alt line. So you have to go to the same game parlay tab in DraftKings, find the Steph alt over under assists, right? So alt O/U assists. And that's where you find under 8.5 for him. It's like minus 400, but we're really just adding it to the over 23.5 points that we like a lot here. You can take 25 plus for Dame as well. That gets you plus 100 even money. If you want to add that, this gets boosted up to about plus 150, plus 145 or so. So I'm fine with the 25 points. I went a little bit conservative, as you can see here, for my last bet of the day that I found this morning. I did put a unit on it already. I'm liable to go ahead and put another half a unit on it at least because I do like this bet a lot. Cleveland, this is one of those things where we look at how the defense plays point guards, and you can really, the point guard has the ball in his hands when he's coming up the court. He's got the ball in his hands the most, right? So you really game plan for him and how he plays. And so that's the way that the Cleveland Cavaliers play point guards. They do allow points. They do let you get to the free throw line a bit. They do let you get into the paint a little bit because their perimeter defense, not so good, as we've known with Karis LeVert and Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, who's still hurt. Not that impressed. Max Strus, pretty good defender at guarding guys bigger than him. Not exactly the fleetest of feet kind of guy. So not really liking him to be able to stay in front of Dame or anybody, to be honest with you. So Karis LeVert did the majority of the guarding him last time. It did limit his assists and give up a lot of points. So Cleveland's going to keep giving up these points, but they are 4th in limiting point guard assists. They are also allowing the fewest assists per game in the last 10 since they've had this iteration of their team with no Darius Garland and no Evan Mobley, who have been hurt. Darius Garland's been hurt for at least the last 9-10 games. Mobley a few games more than that, like 15-16 now that we're coming up on without him. It's a big deal for Cleveland, but they're hanging on. They're limiting assists. It's like I said, that it's incredible. They're limiting teams to 23 assists per game, which is best in the league. Dame had just 4 potential assists the last time that they played. And if you look at his game log against his team, even going back to Portland, and the last time he got 9 assists against his team was on Portland in 2021, where neither of these teams look the way that they do now. So really not anything to use there. The last game, like I said, the 4 potential assists with 31 points, 11 free throws, 16 shots, which, by the way, the shots would be more if he didn't have 11 trips to the free throw line, right? Which means that was about at least, let's say, 5 to 6 field goal attempts that he didn't get accounted for. So he probably took 22, 23 shots total, right? Including the shots that got him to the free throw line. all of that said, it just is clear that the game plan for Dame is score, attack, attack, attack. He and Giannis both had the, basically like took a combined half of the amount of shots. They combined for like 45 shots last game. So both of their usage rate when they're on the court is like they're the dudes shooting the ball, and really they're playing a little bit of a two-man game, but I do think that they like to get Jared Allen away from the basket as much as they can with Brolo, and then just let Dame and Giannis do their thing going to the lane, because there's really no good one-on-one defenders for either of them on this team for Cleveland, and really in the league, obviously, for Giannis. But for Dame especially, there's like Donovan Mitchell, that definitely is not it. So, and Karis LeVert, as much as he's going to play in this one, still not it, right? Dame cooked him last time for about 11 points and just 1 assist when in the time that Karis LeVert was guarding him, which was the majority of the time. So I do like the idea that Dame has no good counterpart to match up with him in this one. So we're going to go over on the points, but we are going to take under on the assist to get us that little plus 118 on DraftKings there. That is all the time. Excuse me, all the time that I have for you guys in this one. I'm going to run through these bets real quick for you and get out of here. Utah, team total over 123.5. Steph Curry over 5.5 assists. That is still minus 113 on Caesar. I really like that. Consider a little ladder to 8 if you want. That gets you about plus 185 on DraftKings. I do like that as well. I'm still playing around with these bets. I really got to get this video out to you guys now. So I wanted to make sure I got something to you, even if I only have these 3. But I really like all that we have here. We've got 3 units down with the possibility to win 3 units right back. So let's get that even money back to us and get out of here with some dubs, y'all. I appreciate everybody following along, continuing to subscribe to that page if you're not yet doing so, liking the video. It does go a long way so that I can keep bringing you guys these free bets for now on YouTube. So let's keep it going. Let's get these units back up. I do feel at least a 2-in-1 day. I would love the sweep here so that we can just keep those units rolling. And until I see you next, happy betting.